What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNVDriversedition. And today, the Corvette builder is up for the C8 Grand Sport, and we are actually able to build cars and know the exact pricing. Now, I don't really like to discuss conversations twice, and you know that if we actually watch the channel. But what we now know is we can actually put out a physical price to talk about the C8 Grand Sport, and now we can actually decide, is it really worth the money? I think many of you are going to be surprised. Let's talk about it. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Sho. This is ICNVDriversedition. This is a channel built around car enthusiasts that love to drive cars to make you turn your head that aren't your everyday people movers. But it's also an interactive channel, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms, or in the comments below, I'll do my best to respond, and if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, I may even shoot a video on it, just like this one. So, a few weeks back, I released a video saying the C8 Grand Sport was not worth the money. Well, the pricing configurator has come out today. We can actually build cars and see what the exact pricing would be. And I think it's time to confirm, was I correct or was I wrong? And I think a lot of people are actually going to be surprised. So the first thing I want to point out is if you look at the Corvette on the Corvette page, when you go to the Grand Sport information, the first car it actually shows you is a C8 Grand Sport, not with a Z52 package. It doesn't appear to have the carbon ceramic brakes. It's definitely not a Grand Sport X. What it shows you is pretty much a 3LZ Grand Sport. And why do I say a 3LZ? Because if you look at the interior of the car, you can see an adrenaline red dipped interior. So you can only get that option with a 3LT, not to mention the steering wheel looks or appears to be carbon fiber. So that tells you it's a 3LT. But at the end of the day, it tells you in the little comments below, as shown, this car with no Z52 package, no carbon ceramic brakes, this vehicle as shown is $122,210. You heard me correctly. That's the price of a brand new Z06 starting out. But what I want you to understand is when you look at what's on the market space today, this 535 horsepower, 520 pound-feet of torque vehicle does not seem like a better deal than what you can get on the market today in a 2026 model. Meaning a Corvette E-Ray with the same interior, you're going to miss some of the color options, but the same interior you can get on the market space today in a 2LZ or a 3LZ form for under $122,000, and you will have more horsepower and more performance. The C8 Z06, if you look at a 2025 model, 2024 model, or 2023 model, you will find there are a lot of 3LZ Z06s out there that are cheaper than this car, similarly spec'd, if not with more. And I say that again, with more options, meaning that you can actually get the Z07 package. You can find carbon fiber wheels. You can find so much more for less money. Now, I know that some people are going to say, well, you don't have the new interior, the new technology. Well, is it really that important? Let me know in the comments below. But let's dive more into this so you can really see if this is an actual true statement. When I go out to build a Grand Sport, when you hit build and price, it takes you to the first page of building your Grand Sport. And when you go to a configuration model, right, it actually suggests, do you want to build a coupe or you want to build a convertible? And we're going to do both just so I can get a point across. So if we start out with the coupe, the actual price of a coupe is $88,495 with no options. That means no striping, nothing to actually truly let you know it's a Grand Sport other than a badge on the side of the car. When you go to the model level, let's just keep this at a 1LZ or a 1LT. That way we can try to build the cheapest car possible. Now, The next thing you want to do is pick out a color. If we're not trying to spend extra money, let's just go with a white car, because even the Admiral Blue, which most people will probably choose, is an extra $500. So we're going to stick with the Arctic White just to keep the car basic. Now as you scroll down, we're not going to take the transparent roof or the visible carbon fiber, which all add extra money. We're talking about $1,000 to $2,600. We're going to stick with the stock wheels that come standard, nothing extra that's adding on an extra $1,000 to change the wheel design. And then we're going to go down and we're going to stay with the same all-season tires. We're not going to change the calipers and add any extra money. I just want you to see where all this pricing is going. We're not even going to add the striping. Or you know what? Let's look to add the striping because we want the Grand Sport striping. But we're not going to do it here. So none of this striping is going to get added to the car. We're now going to go to the interior. When you get to the interior, I don't want to keep it all black, so I'm going to choose red just to add something funky to it. But we know that there's not much you can do with this interior with a 1LT level. We're not going to add the competition seats. We're not going to change the seatbelt colors. We're not going to change the steering wheel into a microfiber wrap steering wheel, so we're going to save some money there. Then we're going to go to the options. Now there are multiple packages. We want to pick up the Grand Sport package, the Heritage Graphic package. I say that because you want the car to look like the Grand Sport. At least the hash marks have to be purchased, right? So we're going to grab the Torch Red Heritage package because I think it would stand out more on this white car. So we select that package. The vehicle pricing now jumps up to $89,490. That's perfectly fine. Then as we keep going through, if you're going to have an engine showing, I believe the best way to go is the engine appearance package. So we're going to add the engine appearance package for $1,895. We're not going to add the Z52 track package, but if we wanted to, just so you know, that is an extra $20,000. So we currently sitting at $91,385 to add the Z52 track performance package, which is similar to the Z07 package. We're going to cost you an extra 20 grand. So you're talking about right now $111,000 car just with that add-on. But we're going to go down to the exterior options, right? I can't help myself, but it's only $200. So I'm going to add the white and the black and red Grand Sport badging. Just of what we have done so far, we have a $91,000 car. We haven't changed any of the visible carbon fiber F. We haven't done any of that stuff. So at the end of the day, the cheapest Corvette that you can go out there and buy will probably be a $90,000 car. But you have to add, in my opinion, the quad tip exhaust, which is another $2,000. But overall, with everything I've added on this car, to me, this is the cheapest car option you can get and actually represent that you have a Grand Sport. So if you look at this car, we didn't really get anything that wasn't standard. All we did was add a few options, which were the engine appearance package, the center exhaust, and the heritage graphics, which I feel like this is what will make the Grand Sport the most appealing to any owner. And we're looking at a $93,000 car. For most people, they can subtract pretty much all of these options, except maybe the Torch Red Heritage graphics, because that extra $1,000 is really going to be what makes your Grand Sport look like a Grand Sport. And this is still a $90,000 car. So for $90,000, is the C8 Grand Sport worth the money? I would say for most people the answer would be no. But honestly, if this is all you're chasing is the look of the Grand Sport, the wide body appearance, and the center exhaust, which gives you that heritage, to me, the heritage look of the Grand Sport, which has now become the Grand Sport looking like the Z06, but just a base engine model with the track performance package, $90,000 to $93,000, in my opinion, is not a bad price for this car. But for most people, they are going to want more. And when I say more, the 1LT option leaves you missing so many options that many owners would prefer to have on their car, like dual climate control and things of that nature. My point behind this is, yes, at a $90,000 car, $93,000 if I have it shown right here, this car for many people will be a solid purchase. So yes, for most people this will be a good buy. Why? Because you have base C8s out there going for $88,000 to $90,000, and I know more people would choose a 1LT over a 2LT base model car, or would they? I mean, if you ask me, I think that's a tough choice. But at $93,000 to have a wide body vehicle and what we have looking at today, I think this would be a fair price that many owners would actually say yes to. But what actually happens is, I don't think this car will be a fan favorite, because many people who are going to sit there and say the Grand Sport, the only reason you buy the Grand Sport is to get the best track version of the car compared to the base C8, because that's always the argument of why you step up to the Grand Sport, because it's a better track performance car utilizing the same engine quality of the base C8. And the only way to make that statement true is to, in my opinion, is to add the Z52 track performance package. And when you add that package to the car, I want you to see right now, when you add that package to the car, you are talking about a $112,375 vehicle. If we subtract the $3,000, yes, you're talking about a $109,000 vehicle, a $110,000 car. In my opinion, this is the cheapest route you can go with a Grand Sport if you're going to get the Z52 package, because if you're going to step up to the track performance package, there's no way you're not going to get the engine appearance package. Maybe I'm wrong, but ultimately you're looking at a $112,000 car. For $112,000, is the Grand Sport now a good purchase for your money? And this is where I have to say no. Even though you got the Z52 track performance package, you can now get used C8 Z06s with a Z07 package for $113,000 to $115,000. And that's a lot of times in 2LZ format, meaning you can find 1LZ cars there, sometimes a little bit cheaper, and then you can get a 2LZ with more options than you can on this 1LT Grand Sport. But let's take a step back, because you know myself, I have to have the convertible. So the convertible for me, adding on all these same features, because we want the same looking car, we're not going to do the engine appearance package on the convertible. That just doesn't make sense to me, but some people will actually choose it. And then now we have the track performance package, right? And all of a sudden, and you heard me correctly, all of a sudden, we're at a $117,000 car. At $117,000 for a 1LT Grand Sport, with realistically no options, no calipers, no seat belts, none of the good stuff, this car definitely to me is not worth the money. And this is where the transition happens. For many people, that $112,000 to $117,000 price range, that car loses its flavor. It loses its value extremely fast. So if you're one of those people or one of those owners, You know right now, it's hard to argue the Grand Sport over a C8 Z06 with a Z07 package. It's hard to argue the C8 Grand Sport when you step up to higher models. Let's do that. So if we go back again and we go to the configuration, right? And we're going to go back to a coupe, but you know I love convertibles, so we're going to make this really quick. Let's step up from this to a 3LZ model because that's the best way to go, right? So with the 3LZ model, because I'm a little bit courageous, let's go to what I think is going to be a really popular color because they brought back Sebring Orange, and everybody loves Sebring Orange. Okay, maybe not everybody, but it's a very fan favorite color. So we're going to do a Sebring Orange Grand Sport. And then with this part, because we're going 3LZ, let's try to make it at least something that people would like. So I'm going to just sit there and say, hey, let's add the visible carbon fiber roof. Now, mind you, you can also get the dimming roof panel, which I think will be a huge benefit and attraction for a lot of people willing to spend the money. But I don't think you're going to see a lot of models out there equipped with this roof. So we're going to get the visible carbon fiber roof. We're going to come down more and we're going to upgrade these wheels to the 10-spoke gloss black forged wheels. That's $1,000 because we got to make the car look right, look the part. And then we're going to come down and we're going to add orange painted calipers. So now I want you to understand there's a sport performance package, which is the low end wing, and then there's a Z52 performance package, which is the carbon ceramic brakes, so forth. Well, to get the orange painted brake calipers, you have to at a minimum add the Z52 performance package, right? So just getting the Z52 performance package makes this car $115,000. I have to laugh at this because the Z52 performance package also made you change the tires, which also upgraded the brakes. So you can't even just add the brake calipers. But we're going to keep moving. So we're now at $115,000. Let's do a two-tone interior because I would have to do a two-tone interior. Let's do it in Sky Cool Gray because as much as I like the red, I just think the Sky Cool Gray goes better with the actual car and the orange coloring. Or you want to go with the habanero. I think these are going to be the main two color packages we see. I think I'm feeling the habanero a little bit more than I actually am the Sky Cool Gray, but either one of those two would actually work for me, but I'm going to choose the habanero just for this scenario. And what we now have is GT2 bucket seats, which is standard on the 3LT. Do you want to get the competition sports? I'm not going to change to the competition sports at this moment. We have orange seat belts selected. We're not going to get the microfiber steering wheel. I just don't want to go that route, so I'll leave it as we currently stand. We have to add the heritage sports. That's the only way you would truthfully be able to tell this is a C8 Grand Sport. Now, I think I'm going to choose the carbon flash just because it's a safe option. And from here, we're looking at, again, a $116,000 car, and we do not have the Z52 track performance package. Again, if you spend this type of money, you can't tell me you're not going to get the engine appearance package. I think I would have to go with the spoiler extension at this point. I think, to me, if you're going to spend this type of money, you're going to get the side intake grill guards and you're going to get the front grill guards. It just makes sense, especially to have them already installed from the factory when you pick up the car. If you're going to have a carbon fiber roof, you have to have visible carbon fiber accents on the outside. That will only make sense. I think currently where we sit, this is a nice looking vehicle. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I would have to get at least the nose lift. Or let's just throw it on there because I feel like people will actually want this option. I'm going to hold off for a second. So as a 3LZ coupe, right? And let's take a quick look at these options we added to this model. As a 3LZ, it's a $97,000 car. We saw it was $100,000 with the delivery and destination fees. The wheels, we added an extra $1,000 to upgrade the wheels. The interior or the exterior, we added orange brake calipers, the Sebring orange tint, and the visible carbon fiber roof. That's what we added on the exterior. Nothing of a cost factor was added on the interior. The options that we chose to go with was the spoiler extension, which was $400, the side intake grills, the radiator front cover grills, carbon flash and body color exterior accents, carbon flash Grand Sport heritage hash marks. We got the engine coupe appearance, the front lift with memory, and the Z52 performance package, which also made us upgrade the brakes to Brembo carbon ceramic brakes. This car currently sits at $124,000. So I ask, would this be a C8 Grand Sport that still is missing the center stripe? We can add that later. But would this be a C8 Grand Sport that many people would truly desire? I think this would probably be the closest Grand Sport that many people would pursue. And guess what? We still don't have the center exhaust, which would be another, you heard me correctly, another $2,000. So we're talking about a $126,000 car. But you know what? In some aspects, I think I did spec this wrong. So let's go back and correct this. And I'll tell you why I say correct this. So that means to me, you would have to go back and add the Z52 performance package, which now this car jumps up to $134,000. Then when you keep going from there, because you have the Z52 performance package, and if I'm going to go all out, I have to get the crossbar and the engines. So when you look at this car now, and this to me is another hard sell, because to make this car what people really want it to be, you're looking at a $143,000 option for a C8 Grand Sport in a coupe form. So in a coupe form, this car is $143,000. Do you believe that's worth the money? And this is a hard no for me, because you can turn around today and get C8 Z06s, 2026 C8 Z06s with huge discounts. Again, more options, because we don't have the interior carbon fiber. We didn't add any of that. You can get more options discounted on current C8 Z06s out there with more performance for less money. And the fact that we're not even talking about is there are still dealers out there asking $5 to $10,000 over MSRP for a C8 Grand Sport. Now, will that hold up? I don't think it will, because this car with options is pricing out so heavily, so quickly, that I think, honestly, there has to be a strategy by GM, whereas, and I say this before, the goal isn't to produce a lot of cars. It's to buy time until they release the new C9 Corvette. And you heard me correctly. I don't think the goal here is really to produce a lot of cars. If we look at the 2026 volume of cars produced, 2025 and 2026 compared to the previous years of Corvette production, the numbers have actually went down. And I think 2027 is going to be another small year of production for GM. If we see anywhere between 21 to, let's just say, 25,000 total units built, I will be surprised. Not saying it won't happen, but I expect the 2027 model year to be flooded with Grand Sport builds, because you can already get Z06s on the market today. It doesn't make sense to build more higher price Z06s. So we're probably going to see a small production for C8 Z06s, an even smaller production for the ZR1 and ZR1X. Let me just throw numbers out there. I think we're probably going to see 40% of production being the new base C8. Why? Because some people will want to just get the new engine. That part is not going to be surprising. I would say we'll probably see 35 to 40% of production being the Grand Sport. The Grand Sport will be probably the predominant car that people chase, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of optioned out cars. And then that will be followed by maybe 5 to 10% on the Z06 and another 5 to 10% on the actual ZR1 or ZR1X. So overall, I think we're probably going to see somewhere between 20,000 and 25,000 units produced. It wouldn't even surprise that number makes it to a maximum of 18. Now for myself, you might as well just go back. I would do a convertible, right? Let's just change this up, which we already see that's $107,000 for a 3LZ convertible. Let's go over, let's do something a little different. Yes, we know the habanero interior and the, like I said before, the orange car, the Sebring orange is going to be a very popular color, but I'm going to stick to what's been traditionally dominating. That is the red mist coat. So we're going to get the red mist C8. We're going to add the carbon flash roof because that's very popular when you get to the convertible. Then we're going to turn back around, and just for the sake of argument, we're going to add the wheels again to try to keep it correct. But what I want you to see how fast this car gets outrageously priced. We're going to go back to edge red brake calipers because we want that on the car. We're going to add the carbon flash. Yes, and we're going to add this to see if we can get the striper on the car. There we go. So this is going to be the Grand Sport striping, which is another $1,295, which was now added to the previous car. Then we're going to switch over to the interior. When we get to the interior, the normal adrenaline red interior that we see on cars. So that's an extra $1,295 to the options, right? Then we turn around and we're going to add red seat belts because it just makes sense. And that's all we're going to interior. As we go to the exterior, we already have the Grand Sport appearance package. I wouldn't really do the engine appearance for the convertibles, but people are going to buy it, so let's just add it to see what the pricing gets to. Now for me, right now at $117,000, like we were talking about before, this would probably be the Grand Sport I would take compared to the 1LZ $117,000 Grand Sport with the carbon appearance package. But this Grand Sport to me makes more sense. But we're going to keep moving forward. So let's add the track package because we have to have the track package, right? Which we're now in a $137,000 car. When you keep moving forward, we're going to get the exposed carbon fiber because that would make sense. Get the grill insert guards because remember we want those. So we're going to get the visible carbon fiber because we want the carbon fiber seam all around the car. And then we come down to the interior options, right? And we're going to do something we didn't do before. We want the stealth trim interior package, but we also want the carbon fiber interior package. Now, I truly believe there is going to be a extra carbon fiber option added like on the Z06 to get more carbon fiber. But at this point, we got to add the front nose lift. And what we're looking at right now on this car, currently as it sits, we're looking at a $153,000 Grand Sport. $153,000 Grand Sport. And I ask you again, at 153 grand, do you believe this Grand Sport is worth the money? It's a nice looking car. It's probably going to be a common built vehicle. But do you believe at $153,000 this Grand Sport is worth the money? And that's the struggle for me. Like I said in the previous video, I just believe once you start speccing these cars out and adding options, you quickly realize that the Grand Sport isn't worth the money, because there are other options out there today that you can get for a lot lower price margin. You can get Z06s which will produce more performance than this Grand Sport for less money with similar options, and still possibly more because there's carbon fiber packages that we couldn't add to this car. So let's take a quick run through this car. So this car, 3LZ convertible, 10-spoke wheels. On the exterior, all we did was upgrade the calipers, the red mist paint coat, which will be common because people will pay for that. We added the carbon fiber Grand Sport appearance package and a carbon fiber or the carbon flash roof. On the exterior, all we added was the red painted brake calipers, the red mist tint coat for the paint, which we know people will pay more for paint. We added the carbon flash Grand Sport heritage package, and we also added the carbon flash painted roof in the sails, which is very common on convertibles on the C8 lineup. So nothing really crazy. We went to the interior and we added the two-tone interior and added torch red seat belts with a suede microfiber carbon steering wheel. So the steering wheel may be a little extra, but that's only $695. When we went to the options, which we have $40,000 in options. In the option area, what we paid for was the two-tone seats, the stealth interior trim package, which that we know is a very high selling package. We got the grille inserts for the front of the car and the side of the car, which many people would do on the aftermarket, but why not let it be done from GM for a cheaper cost? We also have the carbon flash Grand Sport heritage hash marks. We have the convertible engine appearance package, which many people may not get, but we've seen that a lot on Corvettes as we go to car shows today. We also see the visible carbon flash. We also see the visible carbon fiber on the exterior, which is the mirror covers, the trimming, and the visible ground effects. They all are now going to be in carbon fiber, which is visible. We added front nose lift. We know a lot of people can live without it, but a lot of people like to have it, so the front nose lift. We also added the visible carbon fiber ground effects package, which just helps us see more carbon fiber around the car. We have the Z52 track performance package. This is going to be an argument by some people, but we actually know it does not really matter. Meaning, people would say, why would you buy the Z52 track performance package and a convertible? Because you're adding weight, so you're not chasing the best track times. But what a lot of people don't understand is, it's not always about chasing the best track times when you're on the track. A lot of times being on the track is just about being safe and having fun. And if I choose to own a convertible, I want to still have the ability to track it. I'm not chasing track time. Sometimes I just want to get out on the track and have the car that will best perform on the track and allow me to safely navigate the track. So adding the Z52 Performance Track Package for everyone isn't about chasing track times. It's just about having fun on the track in a safe manner. When you look at the total cost of this car with destination charge, we're talking about $155,000. And this is where I have to say, once again, the Grand Sport is not worth the money. So yes, I do believe there are models along the Grand Sport lineup that you can justify the cost. And that may just be as simple as getting a 2LT Grand Sport in the base model form like we looked at with the 1LT when we started out, because the 2LZ only puts you around 93, 95 grand. And with the extra pickups you get from upgrading from the 1LT to the 2LT, that car may for many be a reliable, or should I say a more affordable option that makes sense to them. For me, I would have to have the GT2 seats. It's just my personal preference. We're going to stick with the Arts of White because I want this to be cheap. We step into the Arts of White car. We just get a base car setup. The only thing I want to add is the Heritage Package striping. So let's just throw that on the car, because that, in my opinion, needs to be added to the Grand Sport. I don't see how you buy a Grand Sport without the Heritage Package. I just don't see how you buy it without the striping. So the Grand Sport striping on the car. Then we step up to the interior, and we change the interior surface to a tone to accents the red. And then you come down, and to me, the red seat belts will be extra. Let's just add them, and we move forward from there. So to me, this car may be an appearance package, but I'm trying not to add it because I feel like once you hit that $100,000 number, any benefit to buying a new Grand Sport goes out the window. So as long as you can keep the car under $100,000, and let's just add the center exit exhaust, because to me, that is something that a lot of people will actually want. And there we are. We've hit $100,000 car. To me, this is probably the cheapest car you can buy that will make it an argument whether or not the Grand Sport is worth the money. Because the minute you add the convertible pricing, that's another $7,000. You're talking about $107,000 car. If you add nose lift or the braking, any of the other options that really come with the car, the engine appearance package, I mean, I know people are going to want them. And that's the thing. Once you start adding on these extras, it's hard to argue a E-Ray or Z06 alternative, especially in the 2026 model year. And this is why I struggle to say the Grand Sport is worth the money. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments below. ICNV Drivers, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Drivers community. Like I stated before, we are an interactive community, which means if you hit me up on any one of my social media platforms or in the comments below, I'll do my best to respond. And if the topic you bring up is interesting enough, just like this one, I'll shoot a video on it. But don't forget, we were all made in His image and given dominion over the world, which means we weren't just meant to be. So chase your dreams, build your visions, and never ever give up. I have to ask you, what is a world without hope? We were all given unique gifts to become the best versions of us that we can possibly be. So step into your calling and become the blessing to the world that you were meant to be, because you can be the one and not the one at the same time. Remember, it's okay to be unique. Just stay focused, stay humble, and stay blessed. And I'll see you in these streets. Peace.